Check, check. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go! Man, it's Ballsy Uncut on this blustery, cold, what the hell day is it? Wednesday, November 27th. Remember when the Grey Cup was played this late in November? I know a lot of my audience thinks that's football weather. Some of the former pros think it's football weather. I don't think it's football weather. So I'm glad they've moved the season up. But some would argue that's not the way to go. Like Duke Ellingson, who's been on this show before and competed for a Grey Cup late in November. In fact, he was part of the team that won it 35 years ago yesterday, the 1989 Grey Cup team. Now, I know a lot of people have seen things like this online, and I kind of adopted it today. I went out and shoveled the walkway before doing the show today. So I just literally got in. I'm wearing my, as you can see it there, my Ranger tire hoodie, courtesy of our good friends at Ward Tire Craft. They hooked me up with some memorabilia over there. Michael Barth and the gang, go check them out. 101 Dudney Avenue in Regina. They have a location in Saskatoon. Tell Michael Ballsy sent you. Boom. You're in. 10% off. Tires, braking needs. They got payment plans there too. Also, Paul Waldo at Royal LePage, getting the real estate game with the three-time Grey Cup champ, 306-502-5355. And my friend Murad El-Khatib over with the Regina Thunder. We're endeavoring to get Matthew McCauley on the show. He was all-Canadian long snapper, son of Scott McCauley. So we'll have him on the show. But thanks to Murad El-Khatib, his brother Omar, the great gang at AGT Foods for getting on board. But where I'm going with this is I was outside shoveling, and I'm saying to myself, first of all, God grant me patience, said my shoveling, said my Our Father, my Hail Mary, my Glory Be. And then, like many of you have seen online, we don't have earthquakes. We don't have hurricanes. We don't have any wars. We don't have earthquakes. We don't have hurricanes. We don't have any wars. Just trying to talk myself through it as I shovel and the old northwest wind blows right back in your face. But first world problems, right? Like I said, no earthquakes, no famine, like worldwide, like widespread famine. There is homelessness and stuff. And remember those people this time of year, well, all year long, but especially now. But yeah, no wars. No, we don't have many tornadoes, no mass floodings. No, like we're boring. It's cold, but hey, I'm loving it. Not really, but it's a first world problem. Hey, you need a truck, you need a Jeep, a Grand Cherokee, a Wrangler, Rubicon. Come check us out at Crestview Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram. North Albert. I'm there selling vehicles. I officially start on the floor December 2nd. So stop on by, get your significant other Christmas present. Treat yourself. You deserve a new vehicle or used vehicles. We got a great selection over there too. So check it out. All right. So we are going to hear from Trevor Harris. I caught up with him a few hours ago from Ohio. He's loving life there. The weather's nice. He said it's well above zero. Well, well above zero for there, like +5, +6. No snow, not frigid like here. But we're gonna get into it with him about how the season ended. How many more does he want to play anymore? If he does, how many years does he want to play? Does he need to win a championship to be considered an all-time great? I'm going to ask him that. We'll also ask him, have the Riders been talking to him? Would he come here kind of like a mentor role player coach? Is he comfortable coming off the bench? All those questions I asked Trevor Harris coming up here towards the end of the show. But up next, we have got Andy McNamara. He's our fantasy football and betting expert. The week starts early. Tomorrow, 3 games. You got the night game, the Dolphins at the Green Bay Packers. Good luck, Miami, there. Might as well I'm going Packers, 3.5-point favorites there. You got the middle game, which is absolute junk. It's the Cowboys and Cooper Rush against, no, not Tommy Meatballs, not Tommy DeVito, but Drew Lock at quarterback, Giants and the Cowboys. That one is 48.5. I'm picking it over. And then, 37. I'm picking it. I don't know what I'm picking it yet. I haven't decided. Cowboys will win, I think. And then the early game, Detroit's 9.5-point favorites taking on the Chicago Bears. I'm going to go over 48.5, and I'm leaning towards 9.5-point favorites in Detroit at home. They have lost like 6 straight, I think is what it is, at home in the Thanksgiving Day games. So they're gonna smash that one. They're on a roll. They've won 9 straight. They're 10-1, best team in the NFL for sure. So we'll talk to Andy next. It's called Bourbon and Betting. And before the end of the show, Trevor Harris joins us. Some CFL, some hockey talk too before we're done here. It's Ballsy Uncut. All right, Bourbon and Betting. And let's start there. Andy McNamara, our betting expert, fantasy, and just all around good guy in the NFL.
Thanks,
so, Mac, let's talk the bourbon side here. What you got? Yes. What are you sporting there for a shirt? I see Cleveland. Is that Cleveland whiskey there?
That is Cleveland whiskey in Cleveland Browns colors. So we got that down. I got that on my trip there. The great people at Cleveland Whiskey, Johanna, Tom, Andrew, all the good people. They gave me this shirt there. Love it. Fits great. Makes the shoulders pop too, Ballsy. Look at that.
It does. You're looking good, man. You're looking good.
Gotta love it. Now, this is their Christmas bourbon. They are super famous for this. I love it. Ballsy, it tastes like Christmas. It's tough to explain. You're like, what does that mean, Andy? And then you have a sip, and you're like, oh yeah, it does. It's sensational. And what's cool though is they have a custom Cleveland artist each year do a new design. I got an older one. They got a up there somewhere with the guitars for Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And this is a series, so they have like 3 in a series. And if you have all the bottles beside each other, they connect. It's very cool. It tastes great. I'm going to be doing a cocktail on my social channels in December, closer to Christmas. That goes great. This is good on its own, but you can mix it up. It's awesome. So ClevelandWhiskey.com. Check wherever you can get it. If you're going to be in Cleveland, get it. If check out where it might be near you. So
that's awesome, man. Yeah. Speaking of Cleveland, I was taken back to the 1996 Grey Cup in Hamilton when Edmonton played Toronto, and it was the snow game. Eddie Brown caught the ball off his foot. Did Doug Flutie fumble? No, he didn't fumble, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
So Argos won the Grey Cup there. But that Cleveland game, Cleveland-Pittsburgh, with the snow game. It's amazing what they can do with TV now, right? Where they can generate the line so it's better for the viewer.
It was beautiful. Yeah, they like shadowed it out or whatever. And it's weird. If you just watch highlights from the game, it looks like you're watching 2 different games. Because the first half, no snow, right? It was cold. I had friends who were at the game, and they're like, the wind is coming, but field was green. Second half, full of snow. And that's the thing. You get the lake effect off of Lake Erie, and it just dumped right on it. But that was a ton of fun. Jameis Winston, first game ever in snow. He was like a kid out there. He was doing snow angel, snowball fight. And best of all, beat the Squealers and got George Pickens, baby Pickens. He was all crying and all that after the game. It was beautiful. I loved it.
Hey, speaking of Winston, like he got into a bit of problems in college. Okay, we know that. And
legs,
people are young or whatever, young guy. Young guy, crab legs, whatever. But do you think this is totally him, or is he hamming it up now because he's going viral? Even my son, who was kind of lukewarm on Jameis Winston, absolutely loves the guy now.
He's so entertaining. Like he has a future in public speaking, or like a wrestling manager, WWE, AEW manager. Yeah, I just want to hear the guy speak, because Ballsy, what's so fascinating, if you actually listen to what he says, most of it doesn't really make sense. Like I think he has like a vague destination where he wants to go when he starts talking, and then it's just a winding road. It's all freestyling. He's saying like, we're the horses of war, but the Lord leads us. Like, if you take it, it doesn't make sense how he said, but then it does at the same point. You're just like, I don't care what he's saying. I'm ready to go. It's great. Yeah. I think he's part hamming it up. I just think he's a really he found religion, and he's just a super positive, happy guy, which is very rare in the world today. So I dig it.
Yeah. In the way that he, the weave like Donald Trump, he'll start over here and then he ends up over here and then he gets back on course, kind of.
And then eventually you kind of you're like, yeah, okay, but it almost doesn't matter because it's entertaining. The team loves it. And Ballsy, here's the biggest thing, and you see it in the players, certainly in the fan base and with myself. It was fun. It's fun to watch Browns football now. NFL's supposed to be entertainment. I'm supposed to be happy or stressed or whatever, but it's supposed to be fun. It's fun with Jameis Winston. With Deshaun Watson, it's a dark cloud of gloom, of hand-wringing. Oh, God, is another allegation going to come? What's this? And he sucks. That's the other thing about it. If he was good, you do what you will. But he stinks, too, on top of all of it. So it's like, it's just terrible. And it goes back to last year. Any quarterback not named Deshaun Watson is successful under Kevin Stefanski and wins ball games. P.J. Walker, XFL MVP, not even in the league, Ballsy. He won games. Joe Flacco, off the couch. Jameis Winston. What's the common denominator? At some point, it's not, you hear all this all the time, people in life, it's like, oh, this, and they blame other people. At some point, it's you. At some point, it has to be you. And the you is Deshaun Watson. He's got to, I don't know, you can't really get out of it, but I would bench his ass and just like send him home. Come on. Eat the cap space.
Yeah. It's funny you bring up PJ Walker because now he's with the Calgary Stampeders, so we'll see if he can continue his career up here. Yeah, he's going to be backing up Vernon Adams Jr. or at least going to camp as probably the number 2. Hey, by the way, tip of the cap to the Cleveland Browns fans. You guys don't really have a lot to cheer for, but everybody stayed in their seats. They were loving that game. So tip of the cap to Browns fans. There isn't a better fan base than Cleveland Browns fans.
Amen, brother. And more deserving of success and none more hard done by with just getting dumped on with stupid ownership and decisions and all that. And you just keep coming out, man. That's why hopefully one day it gets right and we can revel in it. I tell you, Ballsy, this is the happiest 3-8 I've ever been as a fan. Because you beat the Steelers, and, we'll see what happens in Denver, where the Browns, historically, it's been a house of horrors. They've only beaten the Broncos. I believe the record is like 26-7 Broncos all time, and they've only beaten them like once in Denver or something. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. So I watched my Chargers against Baltimore, and listen, we both said the Chargers are probably about a year away, maybe 2 years away, and I think we saw that there. The Ravens look like the senior in high school, and the Chargers come into high school and they've got promise, but they're grade 9, maybe grade 10. Like they got a little bit of ways to go. That's how it felt.
Yeah, I'm with you. And plus, too, I was asked, like, oh, is this, can you read into this one way or another, positively, negatively for either team? And I said, I don't think so. We have to remember the big X factor is these two brothers know each other so well. Like, they're not just brothers in name. They talk every week after each other's games. Like, they are super close. It's a chess match. So I kind of take this as its own animal and its own silo, and I don't think you can take too much good or bad from either team out of it. It's the brothers went and look, John Harbaugh is 3-0 head-to-head against brother Jim. So, the rivalry continues.
Yeah. So Daniel Jones is now on the Minnesota Vikings practice squad. My, how the mighty have fallen, but I think that's more an indictment on the Giants. What a grease fire organ. That's a kitchen fire inside of a dumpster fire. That's how bad it is. Yeah. And, man, I'll tell you what, that might be a nice pickup by the Vikings.
Well, the thing is, and Saquon Barkley has said it indirectly, even teammates when Daniel Jones got released, they're like, this isn't a quarterback problem. People know. And I don't blame Brian Daboll. I think he's a damn good coach. That, for one of the bedrock organizations that, for most of their history, has done things right. Been pretty conservative, built through the offense-defensive lines, built out pretty conservative. Boy, what a mess. And I would not be surprised if we see Daniel Jones at some point, depends on landing spot, of course, have a Sam Darnold-esque type of build-up after he escaped New York. Like, look, the skill's there. For most of his time, if not all of his time in New York, he had no weapons. And then he just got dumped on, right? So I think what I was surprised at, if I was the San Francisco 49ers, that would have been the guy I would have been targeting for the practice squad. You got Brock Purdy banged up. Braylon Allen stinks. You're telling me how good would a Daniel Jones with that mobility, a little play action, look in a Kyle Shanahan offense? I think it's a missed opportunity for the 49ers.
I agree. I thought he'd go there. I think what we're going to see here is Bill Belichick as the Giants head coach. I'd said Jets earlier, but he was the Jets head coach for like 5 minutes, and then he went to the Patriots. But he was with the he was with the Giants. I can see Bill taking the whole thing over there.
Sure. Here's the thing: it would be he won Super Bowls as a defensive coordinator back in the day. We know he's a historian of the game, and that would fit. I think with Belichick, because he is a historian of the game, and we've heard through the grapevine that all-time coaching win record that Don Shula holds matters to him. So we have to also think Bill's 70 years old. He's not going to be interested in a rebuild. Where is the spot that he could go where he can rack up some wins quick and take a team potentially on a deep playoff run? You look, there's no quarterback in New York now. Doesn't mean you can't draft one, but there's no quarterback there. The Raiders, also no quarterback. The one that caught my eye, Ballsy, how about the Jacksonville Jaguars? Trevor Lawrence, not perfect by far, but I think and Doug Peterson is a Super Bowl winning head coach, so there's something else might be underlying there. But I think that Jags team, if you look at the pieces, isn't that bad, and it's not a strong division. I think that could be a spot where you can get in.
And Bill has a boat, and he likes Florida. So
he likes Florida. Apparently, too, during this year, I've heard he's made some connections and has gotten to know the Khan family that owns the Jaguars. So,
okay. So, well, we'll find out. All right. So we've got games early. We've got 3 on Thursday and 1 on Friday to get the NFL week going here. Yeah. So you'll get into your parlay and maybe some sleeper stuff. Here's what I got. Detroit plays Chicago. Detroit's defense is getting banged up, and they haven't been the same since Aiden Hutchinson is out. They can't get to the quarterback with regularity. I think they should have gone after Max Crosby. They didn't. The Bears are up and down. They're good. They're not good. They're up and down in games sometimes. I'm going to go, I think Detroit's going to win. I don't think they'll cover the 9.5, but I think it'll be over 48.5. That's what I think.
Right. You know what? That over is interesting. Zadarius Smith in with the Lions now. How does he keep developing in that system? Yeah, you're right. Max Crosby would have been the home run bet, but then they're like, okay, well, too expensive. Get Zadarius Smith, who's good. Upgrade on what you have. Not great. He's not going to get you 10 sacks the rest of the year, but good enough. That 10.5 line kind of, actually, I'm seeing now it's actually dropped 9.5.
Yeah, that's what I had, 9.5.
Yeah, you had 9.5. Yeah, I had 10 earlier. That 9.5, maybe that might interest me. The Bears offense, too, under the new offensive coordinator, they focused a little bit more on the run, which I think is smart. Take some pressure off Caleb Williams. I think that just if we're looking straight up betting, like if we're just taking picks, I'm with you. I don't want that 9.5. But the value on if you take the money line is garbage. You're not making anything. So I'm going to take the lines at 9.5 because otherwise it's, you got to, you're not. It'd take a lot to make any money off that.
Okay, Packers are 3.5 at home over the Dolphins. I'm going to go Packers there, over 3.5. It's Green Bay. They'll cover there. The Green Bay Packers at home, Packer-like weather. Miami's no good. I don't know how cold it's going to be, but it's not Miami. I'm going Green Bay there.
Yeah, I was just looking. The line's minus 550 money line. Stop. We're not doing that. Money line, minus 102, better than the straight money line for the Packers. I'm with you. This is the time of year where the Dolphins, they do not like the cold. And Lambeau, this time, even if it's not a blizzard, it's going to be cold. And it's at night. This is the night game. Remember that. The sun is down in Wisconsin at the end of November. That's not going to be good for Miami. So I'm with you there.
So I think Drew Lock's getting the start over Tommy Meatballs for the Giants. Tommy DeVito, I call him Tommy Meatballs, against the Dallas Cowboys. Like, this one is bad. Like, hopefully you've consumed, if you're American or Canadians trying to feel like you're American for Thursday, hopefully you've consumed a lot of turkey and fall asleep. If you're going to pick a game to fall asleep in, this is the game to fall asleep in and have your nap. I think the over is like over-unders are right around 37 points. I think I'll take the over there. That's how I'll bet this one.
You know what? If Drew Lock does indeed start, and it is trending that way, Tommy DeVito, come on. A nice, fun little gimmick last year. Guys, borderline probably shouldn't be in the league. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Now let's look at this. Drew Lock, I know we sloughed him away, but we saw at Denver, like, this guy can actually move a bit. I'm not saying he's that good, but is he an upgrade on Tommy DeVito? Is he an upgrade on what Daniel Jones was doing there? I could argue, Ballsy, yes. And I'll tell you this. I'm looking right now with his scrambling ability. I'm going to pop in at plus 600 an anytime touchdown for Mr. Drew Lock. He's got to run one in for me. I think that could play out.
Okay, I like.
He's in there. Look at the running game.
I like that one.
Singletary's doing nothing. Tracy's mid. You're in close. Drew Lock's running around. Why not?
Yeah, hey, it's funny about the running game. I'm glad you brought this up. The teams that are near the top, the Ravens, the
Yep.
Eagles, the Steelers, those teams, the teams near the top of the leaderboards have good running games. Like, I think the running game is coming back in the NFL because teams have gone with undersized athletic linebackers, and you know how coaches adapt that. Okay, so let's pound the ball. Like, even the Chargers, they were rolling over Baltimore until Dobbins got hurt, and then it kind of went to hell in a handbasket there. I think running the football, the NFL is getting back to that a little bit.
100%. It's cyclical. We know. Ballsy, remember 2007? No one can stop the Wildcat. It's unstoppable. And then in 2008, it was stoppable because teams adjusted. Yeah, I'm totally with you. Because it was all passing, so you had to get leaner, lighter, zippy guys going around to stop all the passing. Well, now the coaches look, if I get my running back and I just pound the ball, these smaller linebackers and smaller safeties who can come up aren't going to be ready, aren't going to be able to handle it. And so we're seeing that. So what I find interesting long term is this offseason in free agency and the draft. What does it look like when it comes to drafting and the signing market for running backs? Also, what type of linebackers and safeties are being signed? Are we seeing more of the big, pound it type of smash mouth linebacker compared to the smaller, zippy guys? I think that'll be very interesting to see this offseason what the trend goes to if we do see a noticeable shift.
Okay, so do you got a party parlay for us? We do that every week here in Bourbon and Betting. What do you got for us, Andy Mack?
That's right, baby. All right, we got a Thanksgiving special and a little Friday special. Boy, you talk about games you can miss. Kansas City Raiders. Oh, my Lord. 3 o'clock Eastern. Whoa.
God.
Just all the points to Kansas City. All of them. Whatever you want.
Yeah,
all the points.
Everything. Yeah,
50.
Yeah, 100%.
So here's what I got. We got a six-legger, all right? We're taking Dallas Cowboys money line. Drew Lock anytime touchdown, like I said, at plus 600. I added that in. I think Cooper Rush is good enough to be able to, like, if you're down by 20, he's not winning you. He's not coming back. But he's good enough to, keep CeeDee Lamb fantasy football relevant. So we'll take Cowboys money line, Drew Lock anytime touchdown, Detroit Lions 9.5. That one does. I don't blame you if you want to chop that one off the parlay. I'm going to keep it. Green Bay Packers by 3.5. Monday Night Football, Cleveland Browns cover the 5.5. In Denver, like I said, they cannot win, it seems, but they're good enough to be able to hang in there. And then for that Friday night stinker, we're not touching the Raiders Chiefs line, but I will throw in at plus 115 a Travis Kelce anytime touchdown. I think they could score that, then just run the ball forever. 6 legs. Okay, let's see what this is. 6 legs, $10 bet, $2,026.90. Get the confetti out, Ballsy. Let's go.
Well, guess what? I bet $10 on the late games on Sunday and the Chargers Monday night game, and you can rack up another loss for Ballsy. I picked the Chargers, and it was $284 out the window.
Rats. Close. Hey, you know what? That Chargers game was it's tricky. Like I said, I wouldn't get too up or down. But this Chargers team, I'm telling you, this Chargers team, you have a good offseason with free agency and the draft. We're going to start to see the shift in that AFC West towards the Chargers away from the Chiefs a little bit.
Well, I hope so. Hey, by the way, with Kelce, one last thing. Is Kelce, I've seen his brother more than I've seen him. Like, has he quit the Chiefs and a backup dancer for Taylor Swift now? I don't really, or is he washed up? Like, I don't see much of Travis Kelce anymore. He doesn't factor in a lot.
Well, you know what? In the beginning of the season, you're absolutely right. I'm just pulling up his
But has he come on lately?
In fantasy, it was death. In fantasy, it was a horrendous start to the year. First 3 weeks. Then he started to go week 4. Bad week 7 after the bye. Stinker of week 11. But in between those games, more often than not, he's been popping. Still only 2 touchdowns on the year. But at least fantasy-wise, he got 6 catches last week. Stinker the week before. Then 8 and a touchdown. So he is being worked in more. I think maybe this point in his career, Ballsy, he's a second half guy. Like, it's like, ease him in, don't put too much, and then keep him fresh for the playoffs.
I honestly can't believe that they are 9-1 or whatever the hell they are.
Oh, I know.
Like, I can't believe it.
It's crazy. Here's the thing. I was thinking about this. I feel, so in most years, good teams will go through some sort of funk. Maybe a couple game losing streak. They don't look right. The Chiefs' funk was still winning, but just winning oddly, blocking a field goal, getting away with some stuff. And now they'll start to recover coming out of it. So their funk, where most teams lose, they kept winning, but they just didn't look good doing it. So now, you got
They're
Vegas.
10-1?
Yeah. Vegas stomp. Chargers game. Very interested in that week 14. I want to see. That's a litmus test, right? Where's the Chargers at? That's a very interesting game. You play my Browns in Cleveland, Houston, and finish the year in Pittsburgh. So we'll see, because if they keep just backdooring their way into victories, that's going to stop during this stretch after Vegas. But if they get good and they start getting hot when they can.
Yeah, one more, buddy. You were on the Jaden Daniels train for Rookie of the Year, but look out for Bo Nix. Look out for Bo Nix, man.
Yep, looking good. And I wonder if this could be another trend when it presents itself to seasoned college quarterbacks who actually play a ton of games. Essentially, the polar opposite of Trey Lance, who played like 2 games since high school. Bo Nix could almost have a medical degree the amount of time he spent in university, right? And so he came out, and we saw Michael Penix Jr. hasn't hit the field yet, but a lot more time because of those COVID years. And if you get the right coach with that, you have a more seasoned, potentially disciplined, and less raw rookie that can pick up things quick. And we've seen that with Bo Nix and Sean Payton. It's been a great marriage there. And yeah, you're right. If Jaden Daniels, he had some rib stuff. If he doesn't get right, we could see Bo Nix making a charge for Rookie of the Year.
Where do they charge to your information as we, get? Does anything change here with the Turkey Day, or do you just do the regular routine?
We're just doing the only thing that changes is I'll have a big old pizza and I'll watch football all day. Maybe not the Cowboys game. We'll see. Maybe I'll go for a walk on that one. But otherwise, well, I'll tell you this. If you guys are on your fantasy football train and you're in trouble, because this turnaround is quick. We got the 3 games Thursday. You have to watch Sick Podcast with Andy McNamara. Show came out Tuesday night, okay? And we deep dive. I got Laquan Jones from NFL Network on with me, and we deep dive waiver wire ads, start, sits, and strategy for this week and moving forward to your fantasy football playoff push. So an absolute must watch. And then we go live Sunday, 10 a.m. Eastern. You jump on. We have the parlay party for the best bets, and we answer all your fantasy football questions on YouTube and on X at SickPodBrowns and at AndyMC81.
Love you, brother. We'll talk next week.
You too, Ballsy. Talk to you soon.
Got some great sponsors like District Brewing and their Super Squeeze Seltzer, Mango Lime, Passion Fruit Lime. Pick it up at their location on 8th Avenue, or you can go to any Saskatchewan liquor store and get it. They've got their other stuff too, Pilsner, IPA, light beer, their IPA, English-ish. That's Ryan Hall's favorite, who is of British descent too. So Ryan Hall, loving that. Of course, he's our post-game show co-host from time to time. Also an accomplished coach in high school football and a former Regina Ram. Hey, speaking of junior football players, Matthew McCauley is going to join us on Friday. He has been named the All-Canadian long snapper, son of Scott McCauley, head coach of the Thunder, brother of Chase McCauley. So he will join us on the show. I think he still works at Reflex Supplements too, if I'm not mistaken. My friend Jason White running that there. He's always, or at least in the past, he's been shooting the videos. Come in, buy our stuff. They got some great protein bars there, by the way. Okay. So CFL, Vernon Adams, now Calgary Stampeder, says he's willing to rework his hefty contract. It's guaranteed a $250,000 roster bonus, and then there's some other hard money. It's not at my fingertips, but he says he's willing to work with Dave Dickinson of the Calgary Stampeders as long as he's compensated fairly. I think that's fair. Speaking of fairly, Davis Alexander, when we were on yesterday, I was talking about what will Montreal do. I speculated Davis Alexander would stay there, and no sooner did I sign off than it was reported by 3 Down Nation that he has agreed to a 3-year contract through 2027. I think when you add it all up, on paper, it's $1.1 million. So you'd have to think Cody Fajardo's gone. Yes, Cody could negotiate a contract that is lesser, but you bet he's offered a big roster bonus probably coming up here in January. He'll have to probably not take that, take a smaller deal. And I don't see Cody wanting to be, well, he said in the media, he doesn't really want to be a backup quarterback. He wants to be the guy. He's led them to a championship. So I understand how he feels. But times they are a-changing. Montreal had to make a move. Winning teams get ahead of it. The Alouettes appeared to have done that with Davis Alexander. So where does Cody end up? Does he stay with Jason Moss? Is he the number one guy on a short leash because he's got the hefty contract? Although, like I said, they'd have to renegotiate him. Do they cut him? Maybe he ends up in Edmonton with Trey Ford. Although McLeod Bethel Thompson was better than Cody last year stats-wise and for the most part health-wise. So does Edmonton just run it back with Ford and McLeod Bethel Thompson? But does MBT want to take a reduced salary to be a backup? Some of these older quarterbacks have to decide, hey, I have to retire or take a team-friendly deal that's incentive-laden should I get on the field. It'll be interesting to see. And then, there's Jake Mayer, and everybody's saying, oh, who'd want Jake Mayer? Jake Mayer had better stats this year than he did last year. And as I said yesterday, yes, he isn't in the win column as much as, say, like a Bo Levi Mitchell was when he was in Calgary. But, I mean, who was? He was at a record pace when he was the quarterback of the Stampeders. So they're used to great quarterbacking there. And I think, Jake wasn't spectacular. He's got a lot to learn. But it wasn't all his fault. And as we were seeing, there could be a few issues in Calgary, whether that's true or not, I don't know. But where there's smoke, there's generally fire. At first, I thought it was Kadeem Carey bitching, but then you see Oren Malade come out, a few other guys. So we'll see what takes place. But if I'm the Riders right now, I am going to try to get Trevor Harris back on a friendlier deal as it relates to the team because he made almost $500,000 last year. And we're talking about a 39-year-old quarterback. Trevor Harris is a great man, a great father, an accurate passer, a great teammate, an accurate passer. And he was an all-star playing only 11 games this year. Now, you could make a case. A lot of it had to do with the down year in the West, but he was the West all-star quarterback. You can't take that away from him. So he has still got some game left, but he hasn't played a full season since 2015. Trevor Harris has not dressed for 18 games since 2015, which is 10 years. And he hasn't won a championship as a starting quarterback. He has as a backup twice, but not as a starting quarterback. He didn't win last year. They came up woefully short in Winnipeg. And he's a year older. So what do? If you bring Harris back, and I'm not against that, then you better find the next guy. And who's the next guy? Is it Shea Patterson? Do you think he's the guy? Is it Jack Cohn? I don't think he's the next guy right away. I'm not saying those guys aren't. Patterson's a little older. He's been around a while. I think he's serviceable. I don't think he's the next guy. I think he's a backup. He's a backup. He can come in and win you 4, 5, 6 games or keep you in 4, 5, 6 games when the lead dog's out. So the Riders need to sell tickets. I'm going to say this, and now people aren't, there's a lot of detractors. They say he just runs around like a chicken with his head cut off and makes shit up on the fly. But Trey Ford is an outstanding athlete that got better as a quarterback this year as opposed to last year. His trajectory is on the way up. And I think with good, solid coaching from a guy like Mark Mueller in a right situation with the right culture, Trey Ford is a guy that if I'm the Riders, I am going to offer a big pile of money to. You come in, Trevor, we want you, but we need you at a reduced rate. Trey, we want you. You're our future. We want you here. And there's got to be some sort of understanding there because Trevor Harris, and I ask him this and you'll hear the interview, he does want to be a coach eventually. So you're a player coach, Trevor. You're going to be the guy to come off the bench if we need you. But we want Trey Ford, or you're going to start the season, but you're going to split time with Trey Ford. But Trey, you're our guy. You're the face of the flagship franchise in the CFL in terms of the best facility, and generally the best fan base, although it's taken a couple of dints here with the home attendance. But speaking of that, they need to sell tickets. They need to get people excited. Does Trevor Harris get you excited in terms of buying tickets? It's a fair question. Does he get you excited, Rider Nation? Would Trey Ford and Trevor Harris get you excited? Does Jake Maier get you excited? Because if Trey Ford elects to stay in Edmonton, and he might because of the new regime. If it wasn't the new regime, if I was Trey Ford's agent, I'd say, I'm out of here. I am not putting up with this shit. You guys showed your cards. If you let people show you who they are, they will. Well, there's a new owner, there's a new GM, and there is a new, soon-to-be new head coach in town. So, Trey's probably waiting to see who that new head coach is going to be. It could be any time. Could be as soon as I sign off. Could be during the show. I think it's going to be Rick Campbell. So Trey Ford may go back to Edmonton. And let's be honest. Edmonton is more, it's not like it's New York or Vancouver or anything like that, but it is a bigger center than Regina. It's tougher to get younger kids who can play elsewhere, who have a chance to go elsewhere to come to Regina. It's just a fact. I live in White City. I've been a Rider fan most of my life, but let's just be honest. Let's be real. I'm real on this show. It's not a premium destination despite the stadium. It's not. But Trey, we're going to give you this. We're going to give you this. You're going to be the guy. You're the face. This is as close to the NFL as it's ever going to get for you, Trey. And everybody wants to feel like they're on the biggest stage. Well, the Riders are the biggest stage. They're right there with Winnipeg as the biggest stage, best facility. And so Trey Ford, Trevor Harris. But if Trey stays in Edmonton, Cody Fajardo goes there as the security blanket, because Cody's not going to be the starter in Saskatchewan, and he's not going to be the starter in Edmonton, and he's not going to be a starter anywhere else. So Cody, if he wants to keep playing, is going to be a support piece. That's just the way that it is. So maybe some of these older quarterbacks have to decide if they're support pieces. If I'm the Riders, I'm going after Trey Ford, trying to get Trevor Harris. If Trevor says that's not it for me, as much as I love Trevor Harris and I'm rooting for him, then maybe I'm like, okay, well, we'll go Trey Ford and maybe we can get Jake Maier, or Trey Ford and Nick Arbuckle. How long can you run it back with Trey Ford? That's my or with Trevor Harris. That's my question. Great guy. I am cheering for him. He looks after his body, but he's had 2 years where he's missed games, one almost a whole year, and the other was last year. Guy's got more hardware in his knees than the home hardware down the street from me here in White City. Come on. So lots of dominoes still to fall. Jake Maier is more of a Trevor Harris type. Here's the thing, though. In the CFL, in football now, you have to be able to be mobile a little bit. Like Zach Collaros can run around and throw on the run. Vernon Adams can do it. Jake Maier can even do it a little bit. He got a little more nimble this year with his weight. So he can do it. Trevor Harris wasn't the fleetest of foot before. He hurt himself 2 years ago trying to get a first down. He did get the first down against Calgary, but then broke his knee and leg into smithereens. Last year got rolled up in the pocket, but he's got all the mobility of this microphone that I've got. Okay. So it's just a fact. So if you bring Trevor back, great. I'm all for it. All-star quarterback. Can't take that away from him. Loved by his teammates. They will go to war for that guy. Culture, like all that factors in. But you got to find the next guy. Is the next guy on the roster? Who's the next guy that's got to come in? Mayor's only 28. Trey Ford is 26, 27. Is that right? And dynamic football player. And has gotten better as a quarterback from year 1 to year 2. Jake Maier got better stats-wise from year 1 to year 2. Both guys not consistent yet, but it takes a while to evolve. Calgary's got a quarterback that hasn't been consistent his whole time, and Vernon Adams, also a guy I have all the time in the world for. So interesting times in the CFL. Not to mention we need a commissioner. This is what we need in the CFL. We need talking. We need talking about the league, get it going. So with that in mind, I'm going to shut up now. And here's my interview with Trevor Harris. Make sure you check this one out. You don't want to miss it. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. There he is. We get to talk face to face, man. I missed talking to you this year on the bus, on the plane. Congratulations on an all-star season, Trevor.
I appreciate it. It was one of those times where, last year at this time, wasn't sure that I, be welcome back or, if anybody'd want, the old guy or whatnot. So the fact that I was only got to play in, I suited up for 12 games, but got to start 11 because the last game was meaningless. Still able to kind of do that was really awesome, but more than anything was just awesome to be back out there with the guys and get to play some football in green and white.
So how's your mindset this year different than last year?
This year going into the season was one of those things where I promised myself I would not, think about, the future because, everybody, hey, you're 38, you're going to play again. Is this it? Or do you sign an extension? I told my agent, I was like, let's not talk about contract extension until after the season. Let's not talk about 2025 till after the season. I'm not even going to think about if I want to play. I'm not going to ask my family if they want me to play. I'm not going to entertain anything. I'm just going to focus on 2024 and being dialed in for this year. And so that's kind of what my mindset was this year as opposed to last year.
So where is it now? Do you want to play? What does the off season look like for you right now? Have you talked to the family? Where's your head at?
So as of recently, I've started putting thought into it because I told myself I'd wait till after the season. So after the season, we started talking about it. And on my way home, I started just kind of talking to my wife about, how long I've been playing and, we kind of, just reminisce through the years and how many times we've moved across North America and whatnot. And she was like, where's your mindset? Do you want to play? And I said, well, first, would you be okay with this? And she's like, I love watching you play. This is how you provide for your family. Your boys love watching you play. Nothing gives me more joy than watching you run onto the field. But I think she's like, if you want to play, then you should play. And so put the ball back in my court. And for me, the answer is an easy one. I'm going to continue to play.
Okay, good. With that in mind, does it have listen, one thing I appreciated about you is, and you were serious about this, you just weren't BS and you're like, I got to earn my spot on the team, even though everybody would say, well, listen, you're the starter, you're the guy, you'd have to really fail not to get it, but that's not your mindset. So I'm assuming wherever you end up, that's where it's going to be again. But what does it have to look like for you to come back and play at 39 years old? Like, do you have to, what does the situation have to look like? I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Corey Mace, the head coach, Mark Mueller, the OC, similar structure to the locker room to what we'd had before. And, that makes sense to me because, a year ago, our organization was coming off of back-to-back 6-12 seasons, not making the playoffs, disappointment. Where do we go from here? Blow up the whole thing. Our players stink, our management stinks, the front office stink, everything stinks. And, we raised the bar. We've come back to being respectable and a team that, is worth watching and has excitement about it. And to me, we've raised the bar. That isn't what we set out to accomplish this year, but we've come back to respectability. And I think, Rider fans can enter that stadium knowing that they've got a team that's got a chance each and every week. They've got a chance going into this season to hoist the Grey Cup. And I think that, we've raised that bar. And next year, it's one of those things where I think it's a pass fail. If we aren't playing that last Sunday or that third Sunday in November, then to me, then we didn't, raise the bar more. And so if we don't get there and we're not in the cup and hoisting that thing, to me, it's not worth it. But this team will be in it, and they'll be talked about in terms of the contenders. It's not a pretender or are they for real sort of situation. They know we're for real, and it's just a matter of us continuing to grow, to learn and develop as a team. And I think the most underrated thing I think is continuity, and keeping the same guys together year after year is really what breeds that sort of continued success.
So you're not 29 anymore. You're 39, and you've said, I love this organization. So I take you at your word. Okay. And I'll only do right by this organization. So I think, as a smart man as you would be, doing right by this organization is finding the guy after Trevor Harris, because you're not going to play for 6-7 more years. I'm not saying you couldn't, but you probably, right. But what I'm getting at is, could you see your role as kind of like a player's coach where you're like a mentor to, whoever, maybe they keep Shea, maybe they keep Cohen or that next guy, because eventually there has to be a succession plan here.
Well, I think it's that way every year. I've treated that way every year since I've been 31 years old, and I've been the franchise guy going into a season, because if something happens to me, if the next guy's not ready, the season fails. And so the way that I'm going to approach things is no different. In terms of, that guy being ready, I think somebody will tell me when that guy's better than me and that guy is ready to go. And if that's now, that's now. I'm a very realistic person. Whenever somebody I know and trust and love tells me that, I can always handle that. But in terms of my days being done, or I don't even think it's like one of those things where like, hey, let's spin the record one more time at Trev and see what happens. I think I've got multiple years left, but at the same time, like, I'm always wanting to do the best thing I can do for the organization. And if that's me coming back for 1 year and then they move on, that's their prerogative. My job is to be the best player that I can possibly be and help develop our room, no matter who that is. It's the number 2 guy, the number 3 guy. But, as a future coach, I'm always kind of looking to that anyway. Like, does this guy have it? And, it's always kind of fun to evaluate, guys, as we go through things and what kind of tools I can add from their toolbox. And so, so basically, I think that, you're always getting that next guy ready. But in terms of saying like, hey, I want you to replace me, I don't think I'm ready to do that yet.
Is coaching in your future? We kind of touched on that on the bus when we were talking. Like, is that what you'd like to do? Could you see yourself a coach in this league or college or something like that? What do you want to do when it's done?
Yeah, I think, I wanted to play pro football for 2 to 3 years because I thought that would build my resume for coaching, because that's really what I wanted to use pro football for, was a springboard into coaching. And, it's turned into, praise Jesus Christ, it's turned into an awesome, career in terms of, I've been able to play for longer than I ever thought I would have. And so, but I think that coaching, unfortunately, I don't think I'll be able to escape that. I think it's kind of in my blood.
Hey, remember when you and I talked and I said, listen, you're going to like this Mueller guy, because I'm a friend of his. I said, you're going to like this Mueller guy. This guy is the real deal. I think he's got a future as a head coach. And the BC Lions have asked for his, permission to talk to him. Okay. And those are always great interviews to have. But just after your first year with Mark Mueller, tell me why I'm right. Why is Mark Mueller the real deal?
Yeah, I don't think BC should hire him. I don't think, they should hire him at all. They shouldn't even interview him. He would be a terrible candidate. No, he's the man. He's, quickly became a favorite of mine. And you were the first person to reach out and tell me about him. You said, hey, this is the guy that they need to get to call the offense. And I remember you saying that even, before, he was available and before his name was brought up. And after my first conversation, I got a phone. I was like, I think I like this guy, and had a second conversation with him. I was like, I think this guy's super intelligent. He's a hyper intelligent guy. Open for, the humility of him is really what sets him apart in terms of how smart and intelligent and brilliant he is in football. He's willing to listen, and that's really cool. And to me, he's like I said, quickly become a favorite of mine. I don't know that I want to play for anybody else at this point. He's an absolute stud, and I think, it's a matter of time. It's a ticking time bomb before he becomes a head coach, and a very highly successful one at that. He's a beast.
So you're an older guy, and you've never been Lamar Jackson, okay? That's not a shot at you, okay? But what I found funny is I interviewed Logan Ferland, and he had a Trevor Harris shirt on, and he said I don't know if it was just you, but the quarterbacks are wearing an offensive lineman shirt. Has that camaraderie, have you appreciated your O-line more as you've gotten older, coming off of 2 knee injuries? Like, let's talk about how great those guys were, because, man, Edwin Harrison did an unbelievable job coaching those guys up with all the different combinations in front of you and the other quarterbacks.
Yeah, it was a team effort too. It was AV, it's Mueller, putting together, and Mueller and Ed and AV really putting together protection plans, figuring out who fits where. And when you have a lot of moving parts, I think we had 14 guys play up front this year. When you have that many moving parts, it's about like, okay, well, what if we put this guy here? And it's like, wait, Ferland at this spot? And like Ferland made it work. That's the guy that like really, was the glue guy in terms of like when it felt like things were falling apart, he was able to fill a void that we didn't know that would be able to be filled. And absolute animal. I love that dude. And yeah, I made an O-line shirt, but I made one shirt because I wanted it to just be one of one. And then sure enough, the O-linemen were like, dude, that shirt is sweet. I need that. And so they ended up making a few of them. And so it became kind of a trend around the locker room. It's actually Sam Emlis's brother that makes the shirts. And I made one for the receivers, made one for the O-line. And there was a couple of them. His brother made one of me as well. So it's, it was fun.
Okay, a couple more quick questions for you. I appreciate in your off time giving me a few minutes. With regards to Furland, listen, I am not in any way disparaging Ryan Hunter. He played left tackle and left guard for the eventual Grey Cup champs, okay? But Logan Furland, no disrespect, you're the MVP and the leader of the offense, but if Logan Furland can't play every offensive line position except for left guard, you guys might not make the playoffs. Like, he was your kind of MVP on offense. I can't believe he didn't get the outstanding offensive lineman, and I can't believe the voters gave twice as many votes to Ryan Hunter. Like, talk about disrespect. Like, that guy is a stud and a local football hero, which I know you have an appreciation for. Yeah,
I mean, and to be honest, I think that Logan is kind of like me, and people were like, Trev, you should have got MVP or the All-Star, and I was like, dude, I played 11 games. Bill Levi had a far better year, But hearing that from my teammates is really all I care about, because I tell them, like, these All-Star awards, sometimes they're political, sometimes they're voted on. I don't know. I honestly don't know how. Yeah. But Bo Levi deserved the quarterback one. Maybe Ryan Hunter deserved the O-line one. But I can tell you who my all-star, who my most offensive lineman was this year, and it was Logan Furland. And, Furland was like, dude, you're my quarterback. I wouldn't trade you for anybody. And that, to me, is the award that nobody can take away, is that your teammates wouldn't choose somebody else. And I can tell you, everybody in that locker room would choose Logan Furland. Mm-hmm. And that's truly what matters, and that's the kind of culture and locker room and feel a team we've kind of become this year, and complete 180 in terms of where this organization is from last year, and couldn't be more grateful. But yeah, Logan Furland's my most outstanding lineman, and I think everybody in that building, and that would mean more to Logan than any award that he could get.
Comment about quarterbacking brethren. When I have an issue with media or something, no disrespect, but I'm probably not calling Trevor Harris, just like he's not going to call me with regards to quarterbacking. But how, Bo Levi Mitchell, they want to bench Bo Levi Mitchell. He's done. He comes off the scrapyard and he's the most outstanding player out of the East, which is outstanding. Like, just as a fellow graybeard, how does that feel, to have your brother rise from the ashes and have a rebirth like that?
Yeah, and at the time he got benched, I think he would probably tell you that he probably deserved it. He wasn't taking good care of the football. And sometimes, that aha moment where, that happens to you is what it takes. And, I've been benched times in my career. And a lot of times those are times where you really reflect. And, he became very careful with the football as opposed to careless. And, he's become back to what everybody thought he was. But in all actuality, he's always been that. It's just a matter of him finding a way to be that. And I was really happy for him. And there's no secret that, the guy calling plays for him has been instrumental in helping him too.
Yeah, you were a big advocate of Scott Milanovich. You were talking, as much as I was talking about Mueller, you were talking about what a good coach he is.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, like, going back to that, as much as I love Scott and I love him just as much to this day, but Corey Mace, absolute stud. Couldn't be more happy with who the head coach of this team is and this organization is. And if you're a Rider fan, you can breathe easy, sleep at night well, rest your head on your pillow, knowing that we've got a tremendous, absolute great leader in house.
Well, NFL, they talk about Jim Harbaugh as the ultimate culture builder. Stanford, San Francisco, Michigan, now the Chargers. And when I think of Corey Mace, I think of culture. We throw the word out a lot, but is that indeed one of his best attributes? Like, he is a culture guy. Like, I love watching him on the sidelines when he runs. Guy gets hurt, he goes and makes sure the guy's okay. Guy scores a touchdown, he goes over and gives him a high five. Some coaches, a lot of coaches, seem like they're removed from the guys. He seems like one of the guys, but still getting respect.
Yeah, I think, people throw around the word culture, like, our culture is this, or our culture. They don't even know what culture is. Yeah. You have to be able to define what culture is, and then you can understand what it is, and then make it a tangible thing that, is the culture right here? And in my opinion, what my definition of culture is, he's made the culture a lot better, and he's done a great job with it.
Okay, so your buddy Kai Bear joins me on my post-game show, and he said you're one of his favorite teammates and friends, and he'd go to war with you anytime. Okay. Talk about two polar opposites. Like, you both are men of faith, but you wouldn't think that about Kai because he played with an edge. But I'd ask Kai this question, and I'm going to ask you this question. I'll see if it differs. Now, I know your legacy is important to you as a father, as a man of faith, as a friend, and all that. And from what I can tell, you got that nailed down. Okay.
Thank you.
But you won 2 Grey Cups in a support role, whether that was coming off the bench, helping out, but not the guy. You got close, but you haven't done it. You are an all-timer if you win a championship. That's what I feel. Do you get wrapped up in that? Like, do you think you need to win a Grey Cup champion as a starter for your football legacy?
For me to worry about, like, I do, like, it's, yeah, I need to win one, but I don't want to do it for my legacy. I want to do it for the memories, for my brothers, for my teammates. And that, because honestly, I think legacy is like one of those things people want to talk about in the media. That's not important to me. What's more important to me is what my teammates think of me and how my teammates view me. Would they choose me? Do they want me to be their guy? Like, that's kind of like what's important to me. But in terms of, like, I think last year I had somebody had said, I think you're a Hall of Famer, Trev. And I said, absolutely not. I haven't won a Grey Cup as a starter. That has to be done. Those are things that are important to be that. But for me, getting in the Hall of Fame is not like what I set out to do. It's not a goal of mine. But in terms of, do I want to win a Grey Cup as a starter? No, I think I'm, like, dying of hunger to win one. I don't think that I want to win one. I think it's a much higher than just want. Like, it's an obsession. It's becoming an obsession.
Okay, what's the first thing that pops into your mind when you leave that field in Winnipeg? Because quite honestly, I picked you as 10-point favorites. I thought you and Chad Kelly were playing the best quarterbacking down the backstretch, and he ends up breaking his ankle, and you end up, your team ends up going out with a bit of a whimper, and I was really disappointed. I'm going to be honest. As Kai said, I wanted somebody from the Riders to hit somebody, to show somebody it was going to be a long day, to have a little bit of an attitude, and it felt like the Riders lacked a bit of an attitude, like they didn't go in with the swagger, and that's what I felt. But when you're leaving that field with the hunger you said you have, what's the first thing that pops into your mind when you're walking off that field?
It was disappointment. It was disappointment how we played. And, I thought we were ready. I firmly believed until that clock got to about 1 minute and 10 seconds left that we were going to win that game. I honestly did. That's the belief I had. And unfortunately, we didn't show up. Then, they got a 2-score lead. I think we cut it to 1 score at one point and got the ball back. And then we didn't stay on the field on a 2nd and 2 or 2nd and 3.
2nd and 2, yeah.
It was just like, we wanted to take the momentum, but we never got that final, like, okay, this is our freaking game now. And that's what really, frankly, pissed me off that day, was we had opportunities to take the momentum, but we didn't do it. And they did. They had big play after big play, gash after gash, field position, and they got off the field in important moments. And we didn't capitalize on those moments, and it turned into what it was. And it was a missed opportunity for us, because this group had what it took to win it all, just like their group had what it took to win it all. It's just a matter of who was going to capitalize on those moments. They did, we didn't, and they beat us that day. And it was a tough one to get over. I still haven't completely got over it. As you can kind of tell, I just said pissed off. I usually don't say those things, but like it's it's tough because this group had what it took.
Hey, take me inside that one. I'll let you go, but take me inside this one play, that 2nd and 2. Everybody will talk about the 3rd down gamble at the 25, and I kind of questioned it too. But that one there, you got you fake the punt, you score a touchdown, and I tweeted out at that time, Riders about to take this game over.
I did too. I thought it was it.
You get them off the field. You have it 2nd and 2, and you guys had an incomplete pass. Here's the part that bothered me. You got AJ and you got Raquel. You got two downs to get 2 yards. I thought maybe pound it on the ground. Is that one where you change the play? You keep the play? Like, can you take me inside the methodology of that particular play? Because I think that was the game right there, I felt.
Yeah, I think it's easy to kind of think that. But, I have a very high completion percentage. I'm very efficient with the football. And unfortunately, Shafe and I had a miscommunication on that play. I thought he was going to hook up because it was a zone where we displaced the low inside backer. And I kind of kept my shoulder down the middle to hold the mic. and opened up the window, and he ran a dig as opposed to a curl. And so kind of the ball was behind him. And so we just miscommunication. If we complete that, we probably gain 15, 20 yards, and everybody's like, great idea. Because then the next second too, we pound it and they're rushing 3 because they rushed 3, drop 9 all night. And so it was difficult to do that. But we had a nice design play, and we didn't make that play. And it came down to us as players not executing, because the next time we had a 2nd 2, we probably would give the ball to 45. He would run 2 people over, even if they got somebody through and leaked in the backfield, because that's what he does. But you can't just run it every time on 2nd 2. And that's my job, to make sure that I'm efficient in making the play in that situation. And unfortunately, we had a miscommunication. Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna leave you on this. What do you? Where does it stand right now with the Roughies? Fans want to know: Are you in talks, or where does it go from here?
Haven't heard anything yet. So nothing's gone on yet. Haven't heard anything. I talked to Mace last week, and kind of hinted at a few things here and there. But I don't want to kind of divulge into that and give any speculation as to what's going on. But I would say there's mutual interest based on what I gathered before I left. And so what happens, I don't know. Do things change? I don't know. But I don't control things from here. My contract expires in February, and if they want to extend that or do something with it, the ball's in their court, and then between them and my agent. So I love it there. I know that we had a good year this year in terms of raising the bar, and job's not quite finished.
Hey, I don't say it's exactly this, but Big Play VA's become a friend of mine, and he speaks highly of you, of course, right? You guys go way back. Just talk about how he, from another quarterback brother, how he carried himself through the whole thing with the BC Lions and now ending up in Calgary. I thought he showed great leadership, maturity, and class. Those are attributes that you have that I would think maybe rubbed off, in part a little bit on him, because he does speak highly of you. But just talk about how he's handled this whole situation, and you might be happy for a guy like that, even though he's a competitor in your division.
Yeah, of course. I think that it's important for everything in our lives that we have events, we have responses and outcomes. And the only thing we control in those things are our responses. And so if you choose to respond as a champion, have a great mindset, treat others with respect and love. In my Christian faith, it's called loving God and loving others. And you're honoring God by loving others, regardless of the circumstance or situation. And I think that's what he did this year. And he's a man of faith, and he was able to stand on that and be able to, conduct himself in the way that was that of a champion. And he's grown a lot. And I think he would probably tell you that. He went through something similar in 22, where when I signed a contract to a backup contract to be in Montreal, he didn't respond quite as a champion, but he learned and grew from that. And to put that into action was the test he got this year. And he responded like an absolute warrior and an absolute champion. And to me, that goes a long way. That goes far beyond football. In terms of, he's a great football player, but let's be honest, we're all going to be people way longer than football players. And I think it's been, awesome to see him grow as a person. That's
a great way to put it, man. And lastly, it's Thanksgiving for you tomorrow. Happy Thanksgiving. What are you most thankful for? I think I kind of know, but what are you at the top of Trevor Harris's grateful board? What do we got there?
The sacrifice of Jesus on the cross. And to me, like, that, to me, I can never top that. And the blood of Christ cleansed my sins, and obviously my family and my teammates and great friends like you, Ballsy. So
that's awesome.
I would say there's obviously a tier with that, but great friends, great family, and my faith.
And man, it's got to be cool to run out and have your family there. That gave me chills when you said that at the very start of the interview. Sorry, I could talk to you all day, bro. Haven't talked to you in a year, really face to face. To have your kids there to watch you run out, what does that feel like when you throw a dart to Kean Schaefer Baker as a 25-year-old guy with no kids or whatever? It's like, yeah, okay, great. Hey, honey, I threw a touch. Now you got your son, you got your kid sitting right there. How cool is that, bro?
Yeah, it's different, because even when I have a 1-year-old, he doesn't know what's going on. Yeah. But my son is now Kean Schaefer Baker in his backyard. He's Sam Emilus in the backyard, and they get to go in after games, and it's 35 minutes after the game. I'm done with my presser. I'm done with all my media. And I go in there, and Schaefer Baker is in all of his full pads except for his shoulder pads and playing games with my kids. And to me, that's what my kids remember, is he played with me. my son to this day, TJ, loves Vernon Adams, and my Slingshot is his nickname. And to this day, he's, Dad, can we FaceTime Slingshot? And he remembers Vernon because they play with him, and they understand what playing football is. And I get to play with him. I play catch with him, and those are the things that are really awesome. Is when they fully understand what you're doing, they're able to interact with your teammates and understand the game, root on your team. And it's a blessing, man. And being able to still have my parents here to this day, they've almost passed away a couple times each.
Mm-hmm.
And having them be able to come to my games still to this day, and be able to interact with my kids, watch me play to this day, they still make me feel like I'm 14. So everybody tells me I'm old, but I don't feel like it.
No, you're not old. Take it from an old guy. Tell you what, man, I don't cheer for teams. I cheer for people. I'm cheering for you. Have a happy Thanksgiving, and we'll see what we see coming up.
Yeah, much appreciated, Ballsy.
Yeah, so that was my interview with Trevor Harris. Great guy, man. He is a friend. I've got all the time in the world for him. I have all the respect as a person, as a teammate, as a leader. Like the Rider Nation is lucky that he's a quarterback for this team, at least till February. Now, he said there, just to reiterate, that they haven't had official talks. He talked to Mace last week. He doesn't want to divulge, but he kind of hints that it's going in that direction. So I'm not opposed to that. Like, I'm not. I cheer for guys. I want him to win a championship as a starting quarterback. And I guess if it's in Saskatchewan, that's where it's going to be, right? Like, hopefully for Rider fans, that's what they want. I'm hoping to cheer for a team next year because my son's playing on the team, knock on wood, that he makes the CFL. But as it relates to Trevor Harris, I want everything positive for that guy. He's a top-notch dude, but he is 39. He has two knees that aren't original knees. Let's put it that way. Okay? He's missed substantial time in both seasons. He did have an all-star season. So that's something that's very important. He hasn't, though, just looking at his stats, he hasn't dressed for a full year, GP games played, 18 games. He hasn't done that in a decade, since 2015, the last I saw. Now, can he do it? Sure, he could do it. But you kind of have to bake in that he's going to miss 2, 3, 4 games. You just have to. Recent data, analytics tells you that he's going to be hurt for a bit. So who's the guy that can pick up the slack? And not just pick up the slack, the guy that's going to get people excited and be the next guy, because the Riders have to have the next guy. They have Craig Reynolds. I want sustained success. I want sustained success. Well, then you have to have a plan. Okay? They didn't look at VA. They thought he wasn't the guy. That's a head scratcher to me. 7 years injury history like Trevor Harris, but 7 years younger. They didn't look at him. Okay, fine. He's out. Trey Ford. The Riders should do everything they can to get Trey Ford here and try to get some sort of marriage between him and Ford in that room with Mark Mueller. Trey Ford has to have PTSD with the Elkimos. I know it's a new situation with Chris Morris and with Ed Hervey and a new coach. So he's kind of waiting on that. And it's a bigger center, maybe more opportunities for off-field stuff. But I kind of doubt it. The quarterback is like the Dallas Cowboys quarterback, like the Green Bay Packers quarterback in Saskatchewan, or at least he used to be. So Trey Ford, you're our guy. Learn from Trevor Harris. Learn from him. Pick his brain. Continue your upward trend. Trevor, you're going to be like a player's coach. We are going to, we're going to incorporate Trey Ford in. Trey's going to get some time. You're going to have to split some time. You may have to come for guys like that. Trevor Harris, Cody Fajardo, McLeod Bethel-Thompson. They might have to make some tough decisions with the future of their career. There comes a point where leverage isn't there. Now, I don't know that that's not the case, because the Riders right now with the whole, musical chairs with quarterbacks, when it stops, he might, who knows what you'll be left with. Jake Mayer, still very capable as far as I'm concerned. So there's still some moving pieces out there. It'll be interesting to see. I think Trevor will be back, but can it be more team-friendly deal and you get somebody like a Trey Ford, or if he doesn't come here, like a Jake Mayer. We need a next guy. We need to develop a next guy. Mark Mueller has a bit of a history with Jake Mayer, so that could be a natural fit. But I am rooting for Trevor Harris, top-notch guy. I thank him for joining us on the show. We got our next show coming up Friday. Brendan Taman, who has just taken his name out of the Hamilton Tiger Cats GM chase. He's staying in Ottawa. We will talk to him. We'll talk to Matthew McCauley, the all-Canadian long snapper with the Regina Thunder. Daryl Wolski will join us too, either Friday or Monday, just trying to nail down a time to talk about NCAA and the fact CHL players can go there right away and how that's going to implicate, implications for the player, for the teams, all that type of stuff. Hey, I really appreciate you checking out the show. On average, people spend 2 hours a day on social media. So if you've carved out a little time for me, I do appreciate it. We have some growing numbers and things are on the up and up here. We will talk to you on Friday.